Start with introductions. Good afternoon, Chris McKenna here, coming live from Edinburgh, Texas. And we have a very special guest today, Miss Yaneth. I won't go into last names as things, but she's going to talk about University of Chicago specifically, but also just in general, out-of-state schools as far as out of the state of Texas, the admission process, financial aid, scholarships, and just other things that really are important for our students to navigate the whole process of getting into college and being successful once there and so forth. So you don't want to hear from me, you want to hear from our guest speaker, and I'm going to turn it over to her. I do ask students, kind of the process is you take some notes, have some questions ready, and at the appropriate time we'll be reaching out, and you can either chat the question in the chat feature box, or you can ask them live, like over Selena in Brownsville. We actually have students that we can see, which is always a pleasure, a bonus, if you will. And y'all can kind of just wave, get our attention, and we'll unmute your microphone and give you the opportunity to ask your questions. Are you ready? Take it away, Yaneth. Thank you.
Awesome. I think I see 3 heads, but 8 arms. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I am your regional admissions representative to the University of Chicago. I recruit in Puerto Rico, Chicago charter schools, Chicago parochial schools, and half of Texas, which includes the Rio Grande Valley. So for anyone in that area who decides to apply to the University of Chicago, I will actually be the first person to read and evaluate your application. Then someone else in my office is going to read and evaluate it. And if both of us want to admit you, or if I want to admit you, then I take your application into a committee. And in a committee, there are 5 or 7 of us who sit at a very long table, and we read your application one last time. We do it together, and then we vote as to whether or not to admit you. So it is very important that you get to know the regional admissions representatives for any school that you're interested in applying to, especially if it's outside of Texas. So you can apply to the University of Chicago using the coalition application, the universal application, or the common application. Which application are you using? Students who I can see. You might have to unmute so I can hear you too. There we go.
Common application?
Common app?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So by the way, throughout the presentation, I'll be giving you a lot of tips. So if you want to write some of them down, it's very okay with me. If you're using the common application, then you already know that you do have to write a personal statement. And my one and only tip for the personal statement is that you do actually make it personal, that you make it about you. Sometimes we get really good personal statements, but students talk about their parents, a sibling, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, and as amazing and cool as your grandmother might be, she's really not the one applying to our school. You're applying to our school, so we want to know more about you. So that's my one and only tip for the personal statement. At the University of Chicago, we also ask that you include 3 additional essays on our supplement. The first question that we ask is, why do you want to attend the University of Chicago? My tip is that you individualize it and personalize it each and every time a college asks, why do you want to attend my school? So don't tell me that you want to go to the University of Chicago because we're in a big city, our campus is pretty, and the people are nice. Because we're not the only school located in a big city where the campus is pretty and the people are nice. You really do have to look for those specific reasons as to why you want to go to our school. And we're not clueless. We already know you're applying to other colleges and universities across the country, but for that one essay, you have to make us feel really special. You have to make us feel like we're the only school you're applying to. So make sure that you do individualize those. My tip for the second question on the supplement is that you answer it, right? On the common application, in parentheses, it'll say optional. We love it when students choose to answer an optional question, especially when it's an easy question like, tell me about your favorite things. You can tell me about your favorite books, TV shows, movies, music, your favorite type of food, like anything that's a favorite thing. You can give us a long list, or you can write a couple of paragraphs. We just want to make sure that you do answer that question, even though it says optional. Any questions about that one? No? Okay. The third and last question on the supplement is a really silly, creative, quirky type of question. Have any of you seen those yet? Not yet? Okay. Well, they're great. In previous years, we've asked things like find X, compare apples to oranges, where's Waldo? Last year, my favorite question asked, orange is the new black, blink is a new blank, fill in the blank and tell us what's in, what's out, and why. I loved that question because every single essay was completely different from the next. This year, my favorite question asks, what's square one, and can you get back to it? The reason we ask these really silly, creative type of questions is because we want to give you insight into the type of education you'd receive at UChicago. And we really are a school that pushes our students to think outside of the box, to think in inventive ways, to answer questions that have probably never been asked. When we read and evaluate all 4 of your essays, we are evaluating 4 T's. The first T is topic. What did you choose to write about? When we look at topic, most topics that you choose to write about will be completely appropriate, but there are some that we just don't like to see. Some inappropriate topics that we would like to not see include boyfriend-girlfriend stuff, love, intimacy. Students share really personal information, and it's just TMI. It's kind of gross. We don't want to know that much about you, okay? So make sure your topic is appropriate. Second T we evaluate is your technique. And with technique, we really just want to know that you can write. You should not write an essay and make it look like a text message to your BFF, right? Some students are forgetting to capitalize their I's, to put periods at the end of sentences. So you have to make sure you use the correct technique. Write these essays as if you were going to submit them to your English teacher or your college counselor. Remember technique. The third T we evaluate is tone. And with tone, we really ask ourselves, what feelings do these essays invoke? What feelings? Sometimes students have a difficult time with tone because they choose to write an essay to a topic that's a little difficult, like tell me about a time when you had to overcome an obstacle, or tell me about a challenge you've had to deal with in your life. And those could be kind of heavy subjects to talk about. Just make sure that at the end of that difficult essay, you pay a lot of attention to the tone, right? Use a small paragraph to talk about that difficulty, that obstacle, but then use the rest of your essay to talk about how you overcame that obstacle, to talk about the things you learned. Maybe if you could go back in time, something that you would do differently. Make sure that you are aware of the tone. The fourth and last T that we evaluate is time. We actually read anywhere between 100 and 200 college applications each week from November 1st all the way to the end of March. So it's very easy for us to tell when a student has spent some time editing their essay, rewriting it, and editing again. We can also tell when a student tried to write the essay the night before it was due. So make sure you do spend some time. So the 4 T's again are topic, technique, tone, and time. Any questions about the essays?
Okay, Bronzo, if y'all could kind of maybe prop up, we're seeing foreheads now. There you go. We see lights. We don't want to see light fixtures. We want to see beautiful student faces. Thanks.
Did you have a question about the essays? There you go.
I muted myself. Do you have any questions there, Brownsville, about the essays, the 4 T's?
No. Can you hear us? Can they hear?
We can hear you now.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No, ma'am.
You're doing this. That's no. Okay, cool. Well, the other piece of your application that we evaluate are your extracurricular activities. So any sports, clubs, volunteer work. Do any of you have a part-time job? If you had a part-time job, that's an extracurricular activity. Do any of you have family responsibilities? Okay, if you do have family responsibilities, that's an extracurricular activity. So anything you do outside of the class that requires time is an extracurricular activity. Now, we don't have a secret formula that guarantees your admission. No one is crazy enough to say soccer plus rugby divided by the National Honor Society to the power of debate guarantees admission. Like, we don't do that. We just want to know what you're into. We want to know what you enjoy doing because it gives us an idea of who you might be when you come to our campus and what you might do when you're here at UChicago. We also evaluate and require 2 teacher letters of recommendations. They must come from a core subject teacher. So that could be a math, English, science, or social studies teacher. These are actually really, really important to us because they tell us who you are in the class. Your teachers tell us if you come to class on time, if you complete your assignments, if you participate in class discussion. They tell us who you are when you're asked to work with a group of your peers in class. So they are very, very important. If you want to send us an additional letter of recommendation, you can. But after we read 2 letters, the rest just kind of repeat the same things over and over again. So really just worry about those 2. And then we'll also get another letter of recommendation from your high school counselor as well. We also evaluate test scores. We will take either the ACT or the SAT. We don't prefer one over the other. If you took the SAT, we do not prefer the old one or the new one. Just send us whatever you have. We do super score, which means that if you send us multiple test scores, we will actually give you credit for the highest test score per subject, and then we combine those for you to give you that ultimate super score. So it is in your best interest to send us those multiple test scores if you have them. Here's the last thing I will say about test scores. They are less important than you think they are, but more important than I'll let you think they are. Now, we haven't talked about the most important piece of the application. Any guesses? Most important piece of the application. We haven't talked about it, but it's like the most important piece. Come on, Brownsville. Any guesses? What have you been doing for the last 3 years?
Grades.
And where do they come?
GPA.
Okay, they do form a GPA, and what kind of sheet of paper? What do you call that sheet?
Transcript.
Thank you. The most important piece of your application is the transcript. When we look at your transcript, we evaluate a few things. The first thing we look at are your grades. When we look at grades, we like to see some positive patterns. So for example, if you did really well freshman year, we want to know that you did well sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. But sometimes students have a rocky start. So if you had a rocky first year, we want to know that you improved year after year after year. It just got better. Sometimes we see transcripts that have really good grades, but there's one bad grade or one bad quarter or one bad semester. And if that's you, we just want to know what happened. We do realize that you are a human being, that people get sick, that parents get divorced, drama happens at home with your friends. Like, if any of those things influenced your academic performance, just tell us what it was. We're not going to judge you. We just want to know the context. We also evaluate the rigor of your curriculum on your transcript. So if your school offered any honors, AP, or IB courses, we want to know that you challenged yourself and took a couple of those. We also look at your weighted GPA or unweighted GPA. If your school ranks, we'll look at that. If they don't rank, don't worry. We do not recalculate GPAs or reorganize ranks. We use whatever your high school gives us. And we do read your transcript within the context of your high school. What that means is that if your high school only offers 2 AP classes, we wouldn't expect you to have taken 5 or 10 because that's nuts. That just wouldn't be fair. We also just read within the context of your school, so we never compare you to students who are applying from a different school down the street or a different school in a different state or a different country. Like, it's all about you and your school. We ultimately ask ourselves, did this student take advantage of all of the opportunities available to them at their particular high school? That's what we evaluate. So those are all of the pieces of the application. The most important piece, again, is your transcript, but everything is important. Any questions about the different parts of the application? No questions. Okay, what do you want to know about?
Okay, I unmuted Brownsville, and then I'll unmute Zapata next. But we'll start with Brownsville.
Scholarships.
Scholarships.
Ah, financial aid. Are any of your parents multimillionaires?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking. Always looking to make friends. At the University of Chicago, we offer both merit-based aid and need-based aid. You don't need to do anything else to apply for merit-based aid except apply to the university. We actually have a merit aid committee that's composed of the president, the dean of admissions, and then a few of our faculty members. They meet every 2 weeks. They evaluate applicants, and then they choose who to give those merit scholarships to. Merit awards can range between $4,000 and $16,000 each year for 4 years. So that's merit aid. You don't need to do anything to apply for merit except apply to the university. We also offer need-based aid. We actually ask you to complete the FAFSA, which is a free application for federal student aid. We will also ask for a copy of your parents' tax returns and W-2s. If you are a current senior, we will ask for the taxes and W-2s for 2015. If you are a junior, we will ask for 2016. Then finally, we ask you to submit either the CSS profile or our own financial aid worksheet. The CSS profile is available online, and they ask many questions. It'll also cost $16 to $20 every time you send it to a particular school. Our financial aid worksheet asks 10 questions, and it's free. You pick one and send us one of the two. After we receive the information, the Office of Financial Aid will actually build a package for you. And financial aid packages are now guaranteed to have 0 loans. So if you apply for financial aid, your financial aid package now has 0 loans. And if you plan to apply for need-based aid, we also waive your application fee. So it'll cost $0 to apply to the University of Chicago. Now we do pledge to meet 100% of a student's demonstrated need. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
No. Okay, so write this formula down. COA COA minus EFC equals DN. COA minus EFC equals DN. Have any of you seen this formula before?
No.
No? Okay. So let's start with the COA. COA stands for cost of attendance. Every single college and university that you apply to will have a very different cost of attendance. It includes tuition, room, board, books, fees, anything that it'll cost for you to attend that school for 1 year. That's the cost of attendance. The EFC stands for expected family contribution. You get that number through your FAFSA. After you complete your FAFSA with your parents' tax information, you essentially send that information away into cyberspace to the federal government, and then the federal government sends us colleges and universities a number, the EFC. This is how much they think, based on the information you and your parents provided, this is how much they think your parents will be able to contribute to that 1 year of college education for you. So that's your expected family contribution. So the cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution is the demonstrated need. Okay. Demonstrated need, that is what we at the University of Chicago pledge to cover 100% of. Okay. So let's pretend for a second that it costs $100 to attend the University of Chicago. So our cost of attendance is $100. And then your EFC is $40. What's your demonstrated need? 60. So we would give you $60 worth of grants. That's free money that you don't have to return to the university. The reason I ask you to write that formula down is because there are many other colleges and universities that'll say we meet 100% of your demonstrated need, but then they give you $60 worth of loans. And loans you have to repay, and then you have to pay interest on those loans. So do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and if you ever hear any college representative say we need 100% of your demonstrated need, just make sure you ask them, like, how do you do that? And does it include loans? Because that's really, really important for you to know.
Great advice. Awesome.
Questions, Bronzeville?
No.
No questions. Okay.
Okay, we have another school, Ed Couch Elsa. Lupita Tirine. Say hi.
Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, there we are.
go.
Okay, and it's only going to be me because this week we're doing 6 weeks.
Okay,
I'm going to take notes and maybe we can see the recording later.
excellent.
All right, all right.
Lupita.
What does 6 weeks mean?
6-week exams. So every 6 weeks they have kind of like a benchmark, if you will.
Like a grading period for 6 weeks. I mean, that's our first recording period. And so it adds up. There's 3 6 weeks periods to equal a semester. That like there's 6 weeks exams going on today or tomorrow also. And that's the end of the recording period. So they get a grade for 6 weeks.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Selena.
Now, something I would like to share.
Zapata, are you have any questions real quick? I unmuted your microphone on your cell phone, Anna.
Hi there. I just typed in my question. I wasn't sure if y'all could hear me or not. So I just typed in the question for you all.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Okay, one of my students is applying to, is it Marianne Valley Community College in Illinois? Will the hours he takes there transfer over to your university? And then what percentage of transfer students does your university take? Great questions.
Yeah, they are. And I think you're referring to Moraine College, Moraine. I'm not familiar with Moraine College. The question is, will the hours transfer over to the University of Chicago? And the simple question is, it really depends. It depends on the type of class. It depends on the level of the class. So for example, if the student takes a yoga class or a horticulture class at a community college, like we don't offer any of those classes, so it would be impossible for us to give students credit for that. But as long as students stick to the usual core subjects, so English, math, science, and social studies, those usually do well when they transfer. It's also important to have a conversation with your community college counselor. Talk to them about any articulation programs that they might have with local four-year institutions in the area. And then the second part of the question, what percentage of transfer students does your university take? I don't know that number off the top of my head, but it is very, very competitive. And the reason it's really, really competitive is because our retention rate is really high. It's usually in the upper 90s. So we have to wait until someone decides they don't want to attend the University of Chicago before we open that seat up to a transfer student. That's why there are so few transfer opportunities for students.
We had a question earlier, and it's kind of make sure I'm not muted. Okay. As far as dual enrollment, a lot of our students, specifically the Valley, is one of the highest early college parts of the state as far as early college high schools. Many students take dual enrollment classes or concurrent enrollment, and so they might graduate 30, maybe even 60 hours in an entire associate's degree. They were asking, do any of those classes count? I know it's the same kind of thing. You have to look to see what you offer, but will it be an elective credit or a straight credit, or what's some advice about that?
Yeah, so the correct answer is I have no idea what kind of credit they would get. The department that makes that decision is the registrar's office. So when a student is admitted and they enroll, then they have to communicate directly with the registrar's office to see what kind of credit they might get for a class that they took. I personally, on the admissions side, think it's awesome that students who are in high school are also working on that associate's degree. And I've seen many successful students come through the application pool. What that tells us is that you continue to challenge yourself academically and seek more and more and more. And it takes a lot of effort for you to go to your high school at 9 o'clock to noon and then have to move again and take transportation to that city college or community college and take more classes. So we definitely applaud students who seek that rigor and additional academic enrichment opportunities.
Okay, I just unmuted Brownsville. They have a question for us. Their hand raised. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have a couple of students, maybe 3, that are applying to University of Chicago, but one of them is a Questbridge scholar. Actually, there's 2 of them. And so they, I know that you're familiar with the procedure, so they have to list priority school. I mean, the schools that they're wanting to be matched to.
Yeah.
So how does that work? I mean, I have a little question as for, because one of them asked, that I know they list, one of them for sure put University of Chicago at the top. So they're not doing their application, they do it through QuestBridge. So if they are matched, and when I ask about matching, is it representatives from each university that has been listed that look at those applications? What's the procedure?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about how QuestBridge does it. I do know bits and pieces about the match program. We actually continue to be one of the largest QuestBridge partner schools. We take more QuestBridge students than any other participating institution, so we love those QuestBridge students. They have a very tight community on campus, and they're very involved too. Now, from what I understand, a student who is applying QuestBridge Match can list up to 10 universities and rank them in order of interest. So the students do that and rank. On the college side, we read and evaluate all of the applications for students who have added us to any part of the ranking, whether we're number 1 on their list or number 10. And then we tell QuestBridge, the organization, like, these are the students who we think might be the best fits for the University of Chicago. And then QuestBridge does the matching. That's how I understand it happens. Yeah. And whoever put down U Chicago as our first choice on QuestBridge, well done. Well done.
She wanted to be here, but she's taking a 6 weeks exam right now. So, but she mentioned a couple of things to me, but I'll show her the recording, and maybe she can be in contact with you, because she did list, I think 2 of them did list University of Chicago as their top choice.
Awesome. For any student that's interested in U Chicago and is interested in applying, let me try to do this to try to share a screen that I have on. We have information sessions happening all over the country and actually all over the world. So if we're ever in your area and you want to come by and learn more about the University of Chicago and then meet your regional admissions representative so we can put a face to a name, you're definitely welcome to do that. Let me see if I can do that here.
And you are coming down to the Valley next month too.
I will be there, absolutely. Oh, here is that page. I think this is it. Yep, here it is. Can you see it?
Yes.
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 Yeah. So I just clicked on a small section of the map of Texas, and it highlights all of those information sessions. We will be in San Antonio. We will actually host 1 session in Spanish and 1 in English. We'll be in Sugar Land, Woodlands, Houston, Fort Worth, Arlington, and then Brownsville. And one of the 2 sessions in Brownsville will actually be in Spanish too. So if parents who prefer to speak Spanish want to attend that session, you're definitely welcome to do that too. So this is a great opportunity for you to learn about the institution, especially if you haven't already visited. When you come to these sessions, you get to hear from people who understand U Chicago and give you a lot of information. And for those of you who are seniors and who are applying this year, you can use a lot of the information we give you, especially to inspire you as you write your "Why do you want to attend U Chicago" essay. That's really a big important key too.
Oh, our student just made it. The one that's applying to.
Hi.
Hi. This is Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. How did you do on that 6-week exam?
Oh, for my AP, it was pretty good. It was okay.
Okay, good. That's excellent.
Yeah, I just came from my AP. I'm feeling like a solid 97. Thank you.
That's pretty solid. Yeah, I'll call that solid, 97. Mm-hmm. You can only get a little bit better than that 97.
Yeah.
If the scale is 100.
Yeah. I know that I've started the U Chicago essays, but I never know how formal I should be. Because if they are like wacky topics, so I don't know if this is still in a very formal format or am I supposed to kind of go with it.
Yeah, so you kind of missed when we just talked about what we evaluated on those essays. There are 4 T's: ask around and see the recording again. Here's what I'll say. We essentially asked 4 different essays, right? Your personal statement, the why do you want to go to UChicago, the list of your favorite things, and then that silly quirky essay. I would say that if you personally want to take a risk, you should only take a risk on one of the 4 essays, right? Like, some students are poets, and if you want to write an essay in the form of a poem, like, go for it, you know? But you should only take a risk in one of the 4 essays, because if you take a risk on all 4, then you're taking a really big risk.
Okay. Yeah.
You should also just try to be yourself in these essays. Sometimes students try to use multisyllabic words that they never use in real life, and it doesn't work out. Sometimes students who are not funny in real life try to be funny in their essay for the first time, and it doesn't work out. So just be yourself and have a little bit of fun with those essays.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. And do you know on average how many people are matched through QuestBridge to UChicago?
What I can say is that we have hundreds of QuestBridge students on campus.
Okay.
Yes. So there are many, many students, and we continue to be the top, the top institution right after Stanford, I believe. So out of state, we're #1.
Okay.
I have a question. And this came up earlier in the first session in reference to interviews. Do y'all grant interviews? We would advise our students to request an interview.
Yeah, I think it varies from student to student. Our interviews at the University of Chicago are completely optional. If you're ever on campus and want to request an interview, you can definitely do that there. Those interviews are hosted by current undergraduate students. But then if you can't make it out to campus and you're still interested in an interview, you can request one. We have alumni organizations throughout the country and actually the world. They volunteer and conduct many of those interviews for us. But here's what I say personally. It's senior year, you're taking some pretty tough classes, you're very involved outside of school, and sometimes it feels like applying for college is a part-time job. Like, if you're already stressed out because of everything that senior year comes with, don't stress out about the interview. Do not stress out about the interview. You do not have to request one if you don't want one. So it's someone's passing period.
A question came in from Zapata, and I'll read it to you. What type of scholarships does your university offer? I know you kind of touched on the need. And then what about athletic scholarships? What sports do you have, and are there scholarships available for athletes?
Yeah, we are a Division III athletic institution. We do not offer athletic scholarships. And the reason is because we are Division III and our students receive so much aid through merit and need that we don't really offer those to our students. But the same goes for scholarships. Some schools, so some colleges and universities have like a writing scholarship or the trumpet scholarship or the scholarship for the tallest person in the class. Like, we don't have those specific scholarships. We have merit and then we have need. So we do it a little bit differently. Now, the only 2 that we do offer and recognize would be the National Hispanic Recognition Program and the National Merit. So those, we give students a $4,000 scholarship each year for 4 years.
You have one here. I don't know if they can hear it. They can't hear.
Questions? Well, I think one of the things that we should definitely talk about, because this is the first year we are offering it, are all of our deadlines. Last year we offered 2 deadlines. This year we offer 4 deadlines. Students can apply either early action or early decision 1. That deadline is November 1st, and students will hear back from us by mid-December. Early action is not binding. Early decision is binding. Students can also apply early decision too. That deadline is January 1st. Students will hear back from us by mid-February, and that is binding. And the last way students can apply is through regular decision. That deadline is January 1st. Students will hear back from us by late March or early April. This is the first year we're offering early decision 1 and early decision 2. So I have absolutely zero stats on how each decision will work out this year. No way we can tell how this will end. But one of the things I always remind students is that you should not be afraid of committing to a school through early decision. If you do all of your homework, if your parents do all of their financial aid homework, and if your counselor approves, then chances are you're making a really good decision by applying early decision to these institutions. Sometimes it is easier for colleges and universities to say yes to a student who's ready to commit, so you should definitely keep that in mind. I think Selena's student has a question.
Yes. For Questbridge, I'm not allowed to do the binding. Well, I am allowed, but if I were to accept it to one, then I would have to withdraw my applications from the other. I don't know how that would work, though. So
well, that's a choice you have, right? It's totally up to you. It's a choice you have. If you're ready to commit to a school and you've done all of your research, you've asked all of the questions you and your parents and counselor can possibly have, and then you can go ahead and do it. But if you do not feel comfortable doing it, you do not have to. It's a choice that you have.
So, thank you.
Andrea's like, I still don't know what to do. Give me an answer. Pick one for me.
Oh, yeah.
Pick one. You and your family and your counselor pick which route to go. Just make sure that you make a well-informed decision.
Okay. I have another question.
Yeah.
So for the No Barriers program, so that would automatically happen once on the common application you would choose that you would apply for need-based financial aid, right?
Correct. Every single student who applies for need-based financial aid is considered under the No Barriers program, which guarantees 0 loans and then a 0 application fee. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Chris, I think you're talking, but you are on mute.
Did mute. Pardon me. I'm trying not to have interference. Can you tell us the size of the University of Chicago? How many incoming freshmen do you have? Do you have graduate students? What's the total, population, as well as maybe diameter, the geographic size of the university?
Yeah, we are technically a medium-sized school. We have 5,800 undergraduate students. They come to us from all of the states of the United States and from over 100 countries all over the world, so they are pretty diverse. Our campus is located 20 minutes south of downtown Chicago. One of the things I love about recruiting students from Texas is that they always ask, where's the University of Chicago again? We're literally in the city of Chicago. If you head downtown and you take public transportation and you head south, you will be on our campus within 20 minutes. And campus, it maybe takes about 10 to 15 minutes to walk from one end of campus to the other end of campus. Sometimes students will ask, can I bring a car? Yes, you can definitely bring a car, but chances are it will actually take longer for you to move your car from one end of campus, drive it to the other end of campus, and find a parking spot, and then go to class. Vast majority of our students walk to class. Yeah, and Hyde Park is the name of the neighborhood in which we're located. When President Barack Obama lived in Chicago, he lived in Hyde Park. In fact, 2/3 of our faculty members live and raise their families in Hyde Park. So even if you wake up on a Saturday morning and decide to go to your favorite cafe, and you turn around, your chemistry professor might be there with his dog. Like, things like that happen in Hyde Park. You run into people quite often. Andrea, how many students are there in each of your classes?
about an average of, we're looking at like 25 to 30 students per class.
Okay, 25 to 30. At UChicago, 85% of our classes have fewer than 25 students. So you do get a lot of attention. Our student to faculty ratio is 6:1. So again, plenty of attention. And if you look at the curriculum at the University of Chicago, it's easiest to think of it in like that first third of your courses will be core courses. And these are small discussion-based courses that are not larger than 17 students per course. And this is where you read primary texts that have ultimately shaped the world we live in. The second third of your courses will actually come from your major. We have over 50 majors and minors for you to choose from. The most popular are the usual suspects: economics, political science, English, and biology. Now that last third of your courses, last third of your curriculum will come from electives. So this is where you can sample from different academic departments. You can add a major or a minor if you want to. Are you interested in double majoring by any chance?
Yes.
Cool.
If I were to go to UChicago, I don't think I could go and not major in poli-sci and do something else.
Yeah, absolutely. 25% of our students are double majors. 1% are triple majors. And in the last 8 years, we have had 7 quadruple majors.
Oh.
So if you wanted to go nuts and quadruple major, you could definitely do that there. Mm-hmm. And at your school, do you have a quarter system or a semester system?
We go by semesters.
You go by semesters? Okay. We have a quarter system at UChicago. We kind of follow the seasons. We have a fall, winter, spring, and summer quarter. The full academic year includes the fall, winter, and spring. Over the summer, many of our students choose to study abroad, to research, or to participate in internships. But the full academic year is the fall, winter, and spring. On average, students take 4 classes. You must take at least 3 to be considered a full-time student. But if you wanted to take 5 so that you could quadruple major, you could definitely do that. You just need your advisor's approval. And who at your high school would you say has kind of helped you these last 3 years?
Ms. Letta Scott. She's always on top. I feel like she's always like, she's reminding me about like deadlines, and she's like it's almost coming up, like it's almost here, and I'm like, yes, like I'm ready. Like I followed through with the process.
Awesome. Yeah, at UChicago, it's almost like you're almost guaranteed to have 3 advisors on your side. The first one will be your college advisor. Then you will have a major advisor for each major that you have. And then the last one is your career advisor, who works in the career advancement office. We actually have the largest career advancement office in the country. We have 50 full-time staff members who don't teach a class, they don't sponsor a club, they are just there to advise students in areas in which they have previously worked in themselves. So these career advisors are the ones who help you get internships, prepare a resume, practice for an interview. They help you prepare to apply for graduate programs. So many of our students do really well. Are you interested in medical school or law school or any kind of professional program?
No, not pre-law or pre-med. I'm thinking more of specializing in something. It does have to do with biology, but it wouldn't be for medical.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I ask is because recently I received an email with data from the class of 2016. Students who graduated in the class of 2016 who wanted to go to medical school, 86% of those students did it immediately after they graduated. And that 86% is more than double the national average. And then for students in the same class, 2016, who wanted to go to law school, 90% of them did it immediately after they graduated. And half of them, so 45%, went to one of the top 5 law schools in the country. The reason I share that data with you is to just remind we prepare you really well academically, but then we also prepare you for a career for the rest of your lives. So unless you want to live with your parents for the rest of your lives, yeah, I don't know. Some people might want to, but for everyone who doesn't, we prepare you for a career.
Excellent. There's a question from Zapata. They want to know attrition rate. Now you're talking about these incredible rates to move on for careers, but with so many people coming from, all 50 states, like you were saying, as well as out of the country, 100 different countries. Do they just totally get ingrained? What is it like as far as mobility, attrition?
Yeah, our rates are really high, and that's because we admit students who we think want to be there, who will enjoy school, who will enjoy everything we have to offer at UChicago. So most of our students who enroll first year stay for the second and then graduate within 4 or 5 years. So it's always in the upper 90s.
Okay, excellent. Just checking.
Yeah.
Great questions. Keep them coming. Everybody's doing a really good job.
Well, maybe we can talk a little bit about student life. No one's asked about student life. You do have a life on campus. We actually require first-year students to stay on campus. Unofficially, our students stay on campus first and second year, but then by third and fourth year, they move off campus. I use air quotes because sometimes off campus just means across the street in an apartment with your friends. So you're never really going too far anyway. Our students live across 7 dorms in 38 houses. Our house system is kind of like Hogwarts, even though we don't have a magical hat that determines your essence and where you belong. We do have 38 houses. Each house has a house name. They have house cultures and traditions. Like there's one house on campus known for hosting 2-minute dance parties at midnight. There's another house on campus known for jumping into Lake Michigan in January. Houses have house banners that hang from the ceiling in the dining hall. So even as a first-year student, you know you're never going to eat alone. You can always go to that house table and expect to recognize a few people there. Or you could be adventurous and sit at a different house table and meet new people too. That's always a lot of fun. We have more than 400 student-run clubs and organizations on campus, and they really range from traditional organizations like your student government to not traditional organizations like my favorite one, the Zombie Apocalypse Team. They go around campus and prepare students for the inevitable. So if you want to survive that zombie attack, you might want to join that club. We have varsity level sports, intramural level sports, club level sports. We have the usual, so football, basketball, soccer, and then we have some that are unusual. We have broom ball, which is kind of like hockey but with a broom, and then we also have Quidditch, which is always a lot of fun to watch. So our students are really involved outside of the class. They're passionate about what they do in the class, but they're very passionate about what they do outside of the class too. And Andrea, are you interested in studying abroad?
I wouldn't want to do it my first year because I don't know, it just freaks me out, but it sounds really exciting too.
Yeah, study abroad is huge on campus. More than half of our students do study abroad at some point, and our study abroad programs are very unique. We don't send you to a random country to study abroad at a random university because we don't know the level of education you'd receive there. So what we do is have our own faculty members design and teach our study abroad programs. So when you do study abroad, you're taking our faculty members, you're taking your peers, and you're taking that high level of education that you're used to at UChicago. We do it a little bit differently, but it works out really well for our students and our staff. And any chance, are you interested in research?
Yes. Because that was part of one of my intended majors. I want to do like molecular psychology.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Research is another one of those things that's huge on campus. More than 80% of our students participate in undergraduate research. And for those of you who are not interested in research yet, please get interested in research. Research is awesome. It's a lot of fun. You essentially fall in love with a topic, a person, a period in time, and then you dig deep. Sometimes when you are an undergraduate researcher, you might get paid to dig deep on a subject that you really, really love and are interested in. If you wanted to propose your own research project, you can. If you connect with a faculty member who's already researching something that sounds really interesting to you, you can always ask them to participate in their research. But research is huge on campus.
2 quick questions. I know we're getting close to the end of the time. Yaneth, I really thank you for taking part in today's session. You talk about study abroad, and if you're already on either scholarship or you're getting financial assistance, does that carry over for those courses that you take abroad?
Yes. Yes, your financial aid package goes abroad with you.
Okay, excellent. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure for those that might have those questions. And another question from Zapata. Thank you. Hawks are doing a great job out there. Sorry you're not participating with the camera. But they want to know what dorm life looks like. Is it apartment style where they have their own area to cook and clean, or do they share a bathroom like with, suite mates and that type of, or is it varied depending on the house?
It varies depending on the dorm, but a big piece of dorm life is your house. It's this nuclear family, this group of friends that you belong to, that's really going to make and shape your community experience at UChicago. Andrea, do you have any other questions before we take off?
One last question. I read online that there is a flying program. Is that on the website that it was for graduate programs, not undergraduate programs? Would that mean already?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
You break it up.
Oh.
Andrea, do you want to type your question into
You're
the chat?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We're getting a little bit of delay, and it's freezing a little bit. I think she logged in an iPad.
Okay, hold on.
Yay, technology.
Either talk slow or maybe Selena, you can text it to me. I've got my phone right here.
She can type it. Hold on. There it is. Okay, your question. Okay, she's going to type it in.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're in the middle of a webinar. I'm sorry.
A fly-in program.
Yeah, good question. So Andrea's question is, I was wondering about the fly-in program listed online and if it was for rising high school seniors. Yes, we definitely have a fly-in program that allows rising seniors to visit campus even before they apply. That is available for those of you who are juniors. For those of you who are seniors, unfortunately, the deadline has already passed. But for juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, you can definitely keep an eye out for that next year.
Awesome. So spread the word to your friends or family. Any last questions, Andrea? Look, I can't tell if you're writing something or if you're typing in another question.
Oh, I was writing that information, but
Okay.
that was the only question I had.
Okay, awesome. Well, I would like to thank Ed Couch, Zapata, Brownsville.
Can you see that? Oh, I guess it's backward.
No, I can see it fine. I know that
Perfect.
Ms. Barrera Scott has that. I believe she can share that with her students.
Okay, perfect.
And if not, I can share it too when I send out the links. I can put contact information for the different speakers.
Yeah,
Everybody's been very, very open about, reaching out and providing additional assistance beyond this session. Once again, thank you all so much for participating. Yaneth, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy day. I actually talked her into joining us. She is traveling today, and if you wonder what those curtains are, that's not her office, that's her hotel room. I kind of strong-armed her into giving us some time because I thought it was just so valuable. and I really wanted to have some out-of-state schools represented, and you have been wonderful. Let me tell you, great information, great personality, bubbly spirit, and I think you have really sold the University of Chicago, and I hope to have more of our students from the Valley attend and you know, search out y'all in the future and make that their college of choice. So if there are any other questions, email me, give them to your Gear Up facilitator, and reach out, and we'll do our best to continue any lines of communication. Once again, Yaneth will be in the Valley, as she showed us earlier, in October. She'll have 2 sessions from Brownsville on this at 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, one in Spanish, one in English. Mm-hmm. And so look forward to seeing you then.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely. Good luck, Andrea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. We're signing out, and y'all have a great day. Once again, we have one more session